Hey everyone, this is episode 220. That's 220 if you keep track of these things. And this episode features multiple-time returning guest Matt F. Basler. Matt comes to us from the Matt F. Basler podcast, and he also joins us as our official pop culture correspondent, our man on the street, our person with the finger on the pulse of the community's thoughts on things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we talk about at length during this episode. We talk about a lot of things about it. We pick apart some of the plots. We pick apart some of the choices. We also criticize the interwebs for comparing it to WandaVision. And at the end of the day, we talk about how much we enjoyed the show, the first episode. So listen to all that. Also, go check out Matt F. Basler when you have time. Actually, make time, because it's worth it that much. And then when you're done with that, go check out Drinks Around the Table on YouTube from Aaron Conaway. I think you can find it by looking up Drinks Around the Table or just Aaron Conaway on YouTube. And you'll see in the coming weeks an episode of yours truly. So, just do all that stuff. But before you do, after this bomb, listen to this episode, and hopefully you enjoy it. Thanks. Oh, yeah, here comes the bomb now.
Thing you do.
It's a Zoom vernacular. That's like
right.
the Zoom lexicon. Can you hear me? Or if my favorite, which happens quite a bit for work, someone will share screen and they'll go, "Can everybody see my screen?"
Yeah.
I always want to say no, just to throw them off.
No.
Yeah, go click through it again. Or you have to. Now it's a common practice to have to explain to someone how to go to view slideshow mode on your PowerPoint.
This guy's well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll save my Skype anecdotes.
Yeah. It was funny. I was watching. What was I watching I was watching some syndicated reruns of Modern Family, and it was when Claire was taking over.
That's cool, dude. That's badass.
Well, yeah, I know. It was a little bit of downtime. I needed to decompress, but it was when Claire was in the process of taking over the business from her dad Jay, and they were having their meetings via Skype, and she goes, "He's just never going to understand Skype." She goes, "This is the way meetings are going to go," and I want to say, well, that's dated because now it's Zoom.
Oh yeah, really? Wow, Skype dropped the ball.
Yeah, I don't know how they messed up. And Teams kind of just joined themselves with Zoom. You could use either or.
Yeah, and I don't know how it happened. I would be that's the documentary I want to see. You know, because it was just all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Zoom." You get on Zoom, and I'm like, "Well, who? Huh?"
Well, I know why, because Skype had I don't know if it was the bandwidth or what, but it was limited amount of users. Where Zoom, you could. But why not? Why couldn't they have just had the foresight to fix it?
Right.
And not charge people an arm and a leg to go business.
The thing I'm using for podcasting right now, it's free during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's what you said last time. That's awesome.
And I wonder if now they regret committing so hard. You know, do they wish they said free for
3 months, 90 days, 30-day free trial,
6 months? Surely this won't go that long,
right? But here we are. What is it?
Here we are.
18 months now? Or no, it's a full 12 months, right?
It's
just over a year.
I think the 14th was for me, like when I didn't go back to work. Well,
I guess we can go ahead and start because you heard us talk a whole lot about Zoom, which is so very interesting, in Skype. And like Matt said, we're going to wait for that documentary. But we are back. And this is, I guess, my the brand new official PC Bombcast pop culture correspondent, man on the street, Matt F. Basler.
I like that. I'll take that. Yeah, thank you.
And we're here, and we're going to specifically talk about some Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But of course, we're going to get into a couple of other little things. But first thing first, I feel like the last couple episodes we went a long time without talking about this. I just wanted to see where you were at in your personal life when it comes to your feud with one Shane Presley.
Oh boy. Well, we had we had on my podcast an ending the feud episode,
Right.
that was a trick, and I tricked him bad, and I got him. I got it. He fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. That's a fishing analogy. And then it just kept going at a pretty consistent level, and just recently, Shane got a write-up in Go Magazine, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, something.
I'm not even familiar with either of those publications, so it can't be that big.
Who is? But it still has made me very angry. It's very upsetting. I messaged the woman that wrote his part of the article that interviewed him. I'm trying to get her on the podcast. It's difficult to explain in a single message what I'm trying to do. So I don't know if that's going to work out. But
do you think the article is the article officially out, or maybe they were what their intent was to give a prime example of what not to do when conducting interviews on podcasts? Because then it makes sense. Then you go to Shane.
You're right. That would make sense. I think, and I'm so sorry. There's a puppy. I have a puppy.
And I wanted to ask a question about the puppy in a bit, but let's wrap up this awful Shane talk first.
Yeah, let's wrap up Shane. Throw him in the bottom of a freaking river.
Yeah, put some rocks in there, weights.
So I'm gonna see if I could get her on the podcast, and maybe we can talk about this. My thing, and I guess I probably should have brought this up. I turned them down.
Yeah.
25 times.
Well, and I appreciate that you told them to call me in case I had time, because I didn't.
Of course not. Because we're making good podcasts.
Right.
Whereas Shane is just, he's barfing these things out left and right.
Quantity over quality.
Yes, exactly. And, it's not even really that many. What's he at, 800 and something?
Yeah, I mean, you could really cut it in half, because most of them are just the same old thing.
Same old thing. Oh, you're a band. What's a guitar look like? You know what I mean? Okay, Shane, I think we know by now. So anyway, the rivalry is bad and boiling over, and will certainly end in carnage and destruction. And I hope no collateral damage, but I can't. I mean, it's not a promise I can make.
No, I mean, you're only a man. You have emotions.
Member Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Wow. You got to try to contain it. Don't let it go into the city.
And that's why in the third one, Steppenwolf's base will be an abandoned nuclear reactor.
That's right. That makes sense. But hey, you didn't bring it up. He brought himself up. He interjected himself in the podcast. How's the new puppy life?
Her name is Edith.
Oh, her. Sorry, apologize.
It's fine. She's a dog.
I respect her privacy. I didn't ask.
Right, and you respect her pronouns.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
She's wonderful. She's very smart. She's a border collie blue heeler mix. She's annoying,
like puppies should be,
and awful, and perfect, all at the same time. So.
I can tell you, as someone who's raised two kids, it's almost the same thing.
Sure. Yeah. This is interesting, too, because all the dogs I've ever had have been fairly lazy dogs. Duke, my other guy, his back legs don't really work. He had a spinal issue, had to have surgery on his spine. So he's kind of a loaf type of dude. He was before that anyway, but, you mess with the spine.
Now he has an excuse. Now he's like, but I had the spine thing,
back, my back. So now... right, and any other dog I've ever had, they've always been very chill dogs. And this is the first dog I've had that I have to get up at 7:00 and we have to play for at least 15 minutes, or it's just a nightmare. Yeah, and, it's fun. I like it.
It keeps you young.
Keeping me young. Look, I'm so vibrant and young and spring chickeny now.
Yeah. Which is not to take it back to Shane, but. If you're going to dethrone someone who's clearly built a paper empire, you need a little energy, and this dog's helping you get exercise.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. It's my training. I used to be a winter chicken. Now I'm all the way back.
To a spring chicken. You've dialed it back. Chicken. You skipped summer. You just went right back to spring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't even see it.
Well, that said, I appreciate the fact that You came on last minute today. I'd reached out to you last week, and I said, "Can you do an episode after we watch it?" And then the plan was I was going to re-message you on Sunday and see if you wanted to do Sunday or Monday. And then I got sick, and not COVID related. I have no clue what happened.
Won't that be fun to not?
Yeah, not qualify it every time. Yeah,
that'd be cool. I hope for the day.
I'm sick. It's cancer. It's not. No, I'm just like
no. It's just cancer.
It's just cancer. It's not COVID. God. You're all safe. I'm the one dying, but I can say that because my mom died of cancer, so it's okay. I can use that joke. But
okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to be insensitive to everybody out there.
Right. But just your mother? That's okay.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is. We both enjoyed WandaVision, and we had a couple episodes where we talked about it. But I thought, well, we really, really need to get ahead of this fan theory curve and talk about what's going to happen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, since the first episode just debuted this past Friday. And before we get into our theories, I want to first at least talk to you about the episode and see what your thoughts were on the actual episode.
Okay. Right now, that's what
I mean, if you want to take a break, we'll come back.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been listening to some podcasts and reading reviews of it, and I think a lot of them are. It's kind of funny to hear people. So they just finished all of WandaVision,
right?
And they seem to be comparing the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier to the entire run of WandaVision, which I think is kind of a really silly. Thing to do. Is that too annoying?
No. I'm sure no one hears it. But
I think I'm doing the thing now where I'm calling attention to it. Now people are going to hear it and go, I didn't even notice till he said something.
Well, I'll tell you this too. To your point there, I just did my friend's show, Drinks Around the Table, on which is a YouTube show he does. It's going to air in a few weeks. But after it was done, we talked about it, and I brought up that point. Why are we comparing one to the other? Can't we appreciate them separate? Do they have to be compared?
And from the outset, right? Like the previews we saw, they seemed incredibly different. Like, I don't know
couldn't be more different.
Right. And I think this is pretty obviously a setup episode. So it's not like gonna be the most exciting thing. And we saw 2 episodes of WandaVision up front.
Right.
They put 2 out. We've only seen 1 of these. So I think that is kind of a silly comparison. And I do think with shows like this that are a through line, the story is that episodic or is it the opposite?
No, I believe you're right. I believe is it serialized is I think what we're looking for.
You guys know the one I'm trying to say.
I only have really smart people that listen to my show. They'll understand.
Good. And you have dumb guests, so that's probably fun.
You mean when Shane's on?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I would hope he would never be. I think it was, I don't know, maybe third to last WandaVision episode people were really down on, but it was very obviously like a setup episode. So it's like, well, I almost feel like you can't really review this one. That WandaVision episode as its own thing. You got to see what happens in the next episode. Because I feel like the finale to WandaVision kind of brought the whole thing down for me a little bit. Because to me, it started out so different than everything else in the MCU.
It seems such a high concept for a superhero show. It was a very high concept.
And then it wrapped up like a Marvel movie,
like a superhero,
yeah, which is fine. I don't think it was bad, but it was just a little more typical. It was kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have seen him try something not similar, exactly to the beginning, but that same kind of whoa, this is different.
They should have been canceled. You know what I mean? The ratings should have dipped and they should have been canceled. Just a little something would have helped. And again, I liked the last episode. I did not love it. But something like that, at least a little bit of a nod towards the first. Like I said, the first 4 episodes I thought were fantastic TV.
Yeah,
I mean, and it still stayed very, very good. But the first 4 were unbelievable.
I think obviously, right, when you like posing questions is more fun than answering them all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the answers that they had were just kind of like, oh, sure, yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. Instead of like, no way. But I have a lot. Don't get me started on Ralph Boner right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we know. I mean, I love we've went back and forth on the messages on that. But I tell you what, let's
put a pin in it. Put a pin in it.
Well, at least
Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'll say that I think it's a great start. But it could go either way, right? Like
I enjoyed it, and I think that had it came before WandaVision, people would liked it more because, and this is not an insult, but it felt like a normal setup to an action TV series, and that's not a bad thing.
I bet if they played you could watch WandaVision episode 1 and Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the same day, like the first episodes, people would have been way more excited about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wouldn't have, but I'm so smart.
I tell you this. Here's something again, and so a couple of things that happened about the first episode that kind of cracked me up on terms of social media. One of them is more of a macro view of social media, and one is very micro view from the people that I know. I had a friend who posted something about how good the first episode was, how he liked the first episode, and then I read some of the reviews below, and some of them were like, I think it was unbelievable television. That was the most innovative and amazing fight scene when they were flying through the thing, and for one, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a fine scene, but I want to say, the remake of Point Break kind of did the same thing there. And there's been a lot of shows that have done that flight suit fight scenes.
I'll tell you what, too. And I thought it was cool. I was watching it. It's exciting. It's hard, right? To like, you're critiquing something that you like, so it sounds like you don't.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my problems with the internet, that I feel like everything is hot or cold, right? Like you can't say it was okay.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's trickled down from every aspect, from news to social media. It's like being in the middle or being lukewarm is not popular. So
right, and I feel like even that, right? If you're saying like it was okay, people take that as you thought it was total garbage, the worst thing ever. But I mean, I thought that flight suit stuff was fine. Like it was cool. I do feel like you think Falcon, like, man, he must be what a pilot or whatever. I guess he's a wingsuit pilot. Is that what you call it?
If I remember correctly, it was an experimental thing that he was a part of in the military.
Yeah,
like maybe there was a group of them. So where's the rest of them?
Oh, wait till episode 3.
Yeah, well, shouldn't there be more though?
That he had any trouble with these wingsuit guys is kind of funny.
Yeah,
it makes you think maybe he doesn't know how to use this.
Maybe
thing.
just shooting through their wings would have completely taken them out. Like,
yeah, right.
The other thing I want to know too is he has a and they don't explain it. And again, we're not nitpicking because we don't like it. We're nitpicking because it's what we're
talking about.
We got to have an episode. Does he have like Spider-Man 2 Doc Ock style control over these wings? Because seemingly they move on his thoughts at the speed of his thought. Yeah. And they like come around him, and like there's no remote. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, and that's a so she's going crazy, and she just ran into her crate.
And now she's
Courtney's taking care of it.
We've never been derailed by a puppy before.
Right.
But anyway,
it's a fun problem with like robotic, even like Iron Man, right? It's like, why didn't he make suits for everybody? Why doesn't Captain America have an Iron Man suit? Like, I saw a movie where he had 30, 40 of these things.
Put everybody in a suit, yeah. And then it's almost like his wings had the exact same mystical abilities of Doctor Strange's cape,
Oh yeah. What's his little backpack's name?
Oh, Red Wing.
Red Wing, yeah. Maybe that's like a Edith or Vision Jarvis.
Jarvis, situation. Yeah, maybe Jarvis.
Maybe there's a lot of AI going on in there or something.
And I do appreciate that they did make Red Wing a drone instead of an actual bird, like there was in the comic. Yeah,
I think that's. the MCU usually does a good job. So this is a thing of mine. People will talk about movies where you go, well, you got to turn your brain off.
Yeah, suspend your disbelief.
They say that a lot of times to me about movies that just are bad and don't make sense.
Right.
And I don't think that's what a turn your brain off movie is. I think in a sense, a movie turns your brain off for you. Like it gives you enough so you don't think about it because they're like covering it just enough.
The plausible deniability is just enough to make you do it. And by the way, please remind me at the end of this when we do my version of Throw It to Missy, with it's just you and I. Speaking of bad movies that don't make sense, I've got a great one that I watched this week. So
I'll forget for sure.
Yeah, but you know, like try.
I mean, it's
I don't know what we were talking about.
But the MCU, I think, has always done a really good job of that. Like, you don't think about, well, why doesn't he give Hawkeye an Iron Man suit? Like, they don't give you any holes, really, to think about that kind of stuff. Falcon is a thing where I do kind of feel, it's a little harder to be like, what makes him... Why is he... Where are the guys? Why doesn't...
How's he also breathing when he's going so fast?
Right.
But
it's fine. It's not so bad that I can't just go like, come on, dude. Get over it.
Yeah. You know what I did like? And we're gonna jump over to the Winter Soldier here in a little bit and pick that apart a little bit. But what I did like on this episode was, I think Bender has brought up on this episode on my podcast before. You know,
I've never met the man.
I know.
Come on my show.
I know he's a piece of shit. I'm going to get him on there. I'm going to round the troops up. In fact, we may have a Badger that's getting vaccinated. Will maybe start coming back onto the podcast. Okay. It'll be nice.
All right.
But Bender brought up that as great as all these are, the one thing they lack that the comic books have is like video game replayability. The bad guys are always one and done. Thanos stuck around for a couple movies and it was in the background of certain things. But essentially, they're one and done. What I do like that they've done here is Batroc, played by George St. Pierre, not only did he reoccur, but he also got away again. Like he clearly didn't die. And I like that Z Leaper, is constantly coming. I like that he's still around.
Yeah, it reminds me of I know a lot of people didn't like the Scarecrow showing up in.
I loved it.
The Dark Knight. I thought it was great. It's like, this is what it is. And people were like, well, Batman took care of him too easy or something. And it's like, things happened before this. He found out he was going to be there or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, Scarecrow's not a fight guy anyway.
No.
But it's that same kind of thing to me. Yeah, it's like you're. Whatever, exactly what you said.
Yeah, I like the reoccurring villain. Now let's jump to Winter Soldier too, because my beef with Winter Soldier is the same beef that I had with Mickey Rourke.
Same as the Asian guy.
He
killed your. Oh, no.
Yeah, he killed my son. I didn't even have one. But it's the same. It's the same beef that I had with Mickey Rourke's character in Iron Man 2. Is so. And Mickey Rourke's character had these whips, these robotic whips. But somehow these robotic whips imbued him with enough strength and durability to take punches from Iron Man and cars being thrown at him and crushing him against the wall. And the Winter Soldier is the same way. The Winter Soldier, he has a robotic arm that allows him to throw it at intense speeds and be a perfect shot. But if you pay attention in the fight scene, his off arm is also equally as studly as the robotic arm.
Yeah. Was he supposed to have gotten some sort of something?
Yeah, not to the level of Cap.
Right.
But because the arm, even in the comic book, the arm is what allows him to be just like Cap at throwing it. But apparently, he is just as durable as Cap and Black Panther and everybody.
Yeah, right. And it seems like a real problem that they're going to have going forward. Like, they're going to have to obviously keep adding more heroes, and they have to come up with plausible situations for them to get their powers. And that's sometimes I think it's an easier thing to swallow in a comic book than it is in a live action thing. But like Spectrum, right? That's in WandaVision. Monica Rambeau.
Oh, Monica. Yes. Yeah.
Like it's just start to be like, well, gosh, can anything give you power?
Yeah.
And right, like, are we gonna? Well, now she's right next to me, so that must be like.
I can hear it better now. Yeah, but that's still.
That's how she plays with Duke. Duke stands still and she just screams in his face.
It's very much Looney Tunes like, where the big dog and the small one's running around. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Getting your powers. How you're getting your.
And it's just gonna. It does feel like it's like. Are they gonna give Falcon something or?
Well, he flies so good. He just flies so good, and that's his power, But that translates to tough fight scenes and things like that. Like, they should have explained it, like maybe Tony bequeathed him with some special goggles or something.
Right. And again, I mean that's pretty minor. I like we're being nitpicky.
Yeah. It was still very fun. I still enjoyed it. It'll be back to with Sam though. And in the comic, they addressed it good. He could not use the shield the same as Cap, so he used it in a different way, like flying into things and stuff. But in the show, we're going to see him. We saw from the trailer, he's going to learn to throw it some, and
right.
Also, a lot's to be made out of Hawkeye's ability to shoot things at great distance. But Cap's the better shot, right? Because he can analyze geometrical angles and rate of reflection. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was just watching. I watched Winter Soldier again, and he does some stuff that is magical. That's like Spider-Man says, right? It defies the laws of physics.
Well,
Winter Soldiers, that's a good movie.
It's still. There was a great article. I can't remember if it was Collider or Comic Book Resources or what, that was said that it's still, if you still sit down and analyze it front to back, still Marvel's best superhero movie.
I could see that. I could definitely see an argument for that for sure.
The thing about the shield is they haven't gave us enough information that the vibranium, which Black Panther uses in a suit that absorbs energy, including kinetic energy, allows it to bounce around so much. But it's the fact that it bounces extremely fast until it gets to his hand. It's
yeah, right. Yeah, how's he catch that thing? He gets catching those leather straps.
Tough as nails.
Now this shield is not. This is a different shield, right? His got destroyed.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't understand. Well, I guess his got destroyed, but then Cap went back and time traveled to put all the things back. He could have grabbed another shield, and that's what he brought back.
And he. How do we know how that worked? Did he go? Because he would have went to an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right?
Well, we learned from Moondragon or whatever her name was. I know it's not Moondragon, but from Doctor Strange's mentor, that every time you do anything, it creates a parallel timeline. So, yeah.
Was that? And I'm sorry. Was that just if you go back, or is that if you remove a stone?
I think that's if you alter anything. It has to be, because it didn't change their timeline. But clearly there's a divergent timeline that goes across. I mean, we're talking timeline math here. This is tough.
The way I remember it, which is, oh boy, this is bad podcast stuff. Listening to two guys go, I'm
pretty sure this is how time travel works and how it pertains to these movies.
But
she did say you had to go put the stones in the same spot.
Yeah, and I thought that's what cut off the timelines. Because the way I understood it, if you go back, you just can't change anything. You could do whatever you want, but when you come to the future, that is erased. That's gone. But removing a stone does create a different
which is what Loki's going to do for his show.
Well, that makes sense. Maybe Cap just went to that.
Hard to say.
Know what I mean? Maybe
hard to say.
The one where Loki's already changed.
But his shield certainly was destroyed in the final battle with Thanos.
And this one looks different, but I don't know if it's
hard to say.
Is that just Marvel who wanted to make this one look a little different, or is it actually supposed to look different? And maybe because it almost looks like on the star, there's like little pieces.
Yeah, we'll have to
maybe that's nothing.
Yeah.
But. I don't know.
It's funny to think, too, that the shield is super so rare. Now, in the comic book, the shield was a vibranium adamantium mix that had was forged mystically, and why it's so special. They've never said that in the movies, so I guess they can only make the one, which is why it was so emotionally draining on Sam to donate it. So why there was so much, so much emotional weight to it to donate it, because they couldn't have just put a fake shield in the Smithsonian for the display.
Like, that is a good. I mean, there's already museums for Captain America.
Yeah.
Put a fake one in there.
So I do. I like, again, I don't want people to think we're overly analyzing, overly picking on it, because I did enjoy it. But what I do want to draw attention to is some people that have on the interwebs been overly analyzing it and picking on it.
Yes.
And have you seen the hashtag not my captain?
Oh no. No.
So there's, and I know that with everything on Twitter, there's a lot of people that are doing it tongue in cheek, but I have read a handful where people are like, I can't believe they fucking replaced Chris Evans with this guy. Hashtag not my captain. I'm like, do you get that that's kind of the point of the show, what's going on in the show?
I learned a lot from WandaVision, and that was a very fun show to go into message boards and see what people are saying. People don't know how like stories work or how to interpret like a director's meaning, what they're trying to convey. So it is not surprising to me at all that people would have seen that ending, seeing Sam being emotionally affected negatively by it, and then gone, I guess we're supposed to like this guy?
Yeah. How could they replace Chris Evans with this guy? So first off, they did not replace Chris Evans. In terms of the story, there is a new person taking the mantle of Cap, and it clearly has raised the ire of the two friends of Cap. So I just want to tell those people, just, buckle up, enjoy the ride, and just wait till it plays out.
So you don't think that that's a de-aged Captain Steve Rogers?
No.
That's my theory.
So that's that's one theory. Let's get into a little bit of theory. So that is a de-aged Captain America. That's Chris Evans.
The problem is he went back way too far at first, and then when they went forward again, he kind of kept the like baby face.
Yeah, his jawline changed.
It's kind of weird. Time travel. It'll mess with you.
This is, by the way, for those that don't know, the person playing Chris Evans in this movie or this show is a Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah,
Wayne Russell.
And that's actually important to point out too. He is playing Chris Evans.
Yes,
he's not playing Steve Rogers.
Right.
Which I guess also is why he looks a little different. Marvel's new thing is to bring in people that look different but are the character, but then aren't the character. You're gonna find out it's actually the actor Chris Evans.
And they don't want to tell us either. They just want us to guess it.
It's fun. It's fun to guess.
But I think his name's Wayne Russell. I know it's Kurt Russell's son, and I know he was in. He's been in a handful of things of late. He was the thing I liked him most in was Richard Linklater's his final of the Dazed and Confused, and then all that stuff. He did one. I can't think of the name of it, but it's the final 3 days of summer before these incoming baseball players on a frat house go back to college. It's a great movie if you've never seen it. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but he's in it, and I'll
check it out.
Yeah, it's very fun. If you like Dazed and Confused, if you liked all that, it's in that same vein. But so he's got some acting chops to him. But man, pulling off another actor playing a character, that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, but I think he's up to it. It'll be fun to see.
Wearing a mask helps. Maybe that'll help him pull it off.
Right.
So that made me laugh quite a bit. I think, I don't know if he's going to end up being U.S. Agent, which I know U.S. Agent is in this. So in the comics, and they're doing U.S. Agent they didn't try to trick people by pulling in a fake Chris Evans in the comic books. They created just a new character called U.S. Agent, which was to replace Cap. He was Captain America light. Still had some good stories around him. But we also, in this first episode, saw Flag Smasher, which is going to be the big bad. We assume, we don't know. I'm still believing that at some point Mephisto is going to pop up in one of these TV series.
The signs are there.
I've also seen some theories on the webs that have said that they think that the fake Cap is actually Flag Smasher, which would mean he's wearing a wig, right? Right?
Well, I mean,
because he clearly has dreads. I
mean, maybe every morning he gets a stylist to put like a bald cap on him and then throw a wig on over that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a whole episode dedicated to seeing that process.
So is this? Do we think that this Flag Smasher is one a superhero based on what you clearly pointed out earlier, how easy it is to develop your powers, or is this an escapee of the Winter Soldier program at some point that is also out there?
Now, all those guys died, right? They killed all
supposedly.
Those guys.
Supposedly Baron Zemo shot them all.
Yeah.
Oh, but we do know he's coming back, so he's
right.
in this, so he's going to be the big bad, I assume. Are they going to work together? Who knows?
Something. I mean, yeah, I think I feel like there is a lot of talk for like Marvel properties, right, about like the quote big bad, and I do feel like it would maybe be nice to see Marvel sort of move away from that in a sense that it doesn't have to be such a like
cliche
video game we're fighting the big boss. You know, it can be multiple fronts and different. But like even in WandaVision, right? Like people talked about that a whole lot. But like the military guy and Agatha were both. I mean, you could make arguments for either one of them being the actual.
When the Scarlet Witch was the big bad. I mean, Wanda herself was the big bad, I think, but Agatha
or Scarlet Witch
also bad. I thought the only problem I had with the military guy, I can't remember his name. He was the most bland villain we've seen in the Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Just he was there just to fill a role.
But you know what I mean. Like that's not. I feel like maybe it's at a point where big bad doesn't really work.
Is Big Bad the Marvel version of the final girl from horror movies? Is that what it is? Become cliche?
And I think that's typically is usually a bad thing too. Like a lot of times, two people survive, and it's like, well, what do you mean the fight? There's two women here. One
of them's got to die.
And yeah, so right, maybe that sort of like doesn't really work as a term anymore. But what I mean, you know.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
It was, there was a couple of things that after we've nitpicked and now we can still, if we want to theorize, we can still theorize. But I'll tell you some things that I did find very enjoyable, some good choices that I think they made. One, I thought it was clever to address the financial earnings of a superhero.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun.
I like that a lot. And I know people have been saying like, well, why doesn't Tony just pay for everything? Well, he's dead, but why didn't he pay for everything?
Because that's not what billionaires do. They try to make more money instead of just throw it away.
A pretty unrealistic thing. That's not how it works. And like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know.
I do know in the comic book, there's been multiple references throughout, especially in the 90s. When you got your official card-carrying member of the Avengers, you got an expense account with that and a stipend. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
But to be an Avenger in the MCU, in my opinion, the Avengers are still a little bit in its infancy. I know we've seen them fight a lot, and it seems go, and we do know because of between the first Avenger movie and the Age of Ultron, there was a time lapse where they're actually running missions against AIM and Hydra and things like that. But maybe they just didn't have time to sit and think about it at that point.
Well, and yeah, I mean, even getting paid, you know, really well for a little bit and disappearing for 5 years.
I like the way they address that.
It's going to mess that up a lot. You know, that's going to drain pretty quick. And I think it's a more realistic take on it. Like, it's funny to see people compare it to the. Well, I guess I shouldn't give spoilers for the Snyder cut just yet.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in the last segment.
But just how the different billionaires behaved or whatever. But like, I think it's more realistic and not like evil of Tony to not just pay for the lives of all his friends in perpetuity, you know?
Yeah. The other thing I did like, even though it was cut short, and I get that it was cut short, is it's good that they're at least touching on the fact that, and I know we've been down this road where Bucky's got memories, but it's one, I like that he so actively is dealing with it, and two, I like to see the fact that they're trying to interject a date life for one of these characters outside of Peter Parker, because Peter Parker always goes through this stuff.
Right. I thought it was someone brought up. I saw this thing that's like, oh, they're retconning this thing about Winter Soldier, because he shows up in Memoriam or in Far From Home.
Far From Home, he does,
and that's what this article said.
Oh, okay.
Or that they were aware of him or whatever, and that he should be a big celebrity. And I was thinking about that, and it's like, man, I don't know if that's true. Just because, like, when you're putting a school project together and you put essentially, like, you know, in a real world, like some military guys' pictures kind of thing, nobody's gonna, and they're in New York. Nobody's gonna care. Like, they're not gonna put that. I don't know. I didn't, even if that is the case, and I haven't seen Far From Home in a while, but I don't think that's necessarily a retcon or like, I mean, even if those guys were there, Captain America and Iron Man, they're going to be the ones people
larger than life.
Yeah.
And Sam makes sense that they would know Sam because one, he doesn't wear a mask, and two, he's always beside Captain America in a big winged suit.
I mean, everybody knows Steve Jobs, you know, but how many people know Bill Wozniak?
Wozniak, yeah. You couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Most people couldn't.
Most people couldn't. Right?
And honestly, if Jobs took off the black shirt and the glasses, no one would know what he looked like either.
Right. So,
which was his superhero suit, his Iron Man suit.
Winter Soldier's not wearing his cool little half mask thing. No one knows who he is. And he got a haircut.
Yeah, he did. I did think that it was funny. I do like the fact that he just, in order to not explain why he's wearing one glove, he just wears two gloves.
That's smart.
It is. I've got a circulation problem. I
like that. I thought that opening, his opening scene was cool. The like flashback dream sequence thing, and like, I like the whole like PTSD, I guess, angle with him. I think that's a cool.
His kind of like his Jason Bourne syndrome.
Yeah, the series, these series, I think give him like obviously more room to explore. So like, they kind of seem to sort of try to do Tony's alcoholism in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, but they only hint at it.
And it's kind of only like, oh, if you read the comics, you'd know that maybe this is a bigger problem. But you know what? I don't know if I want him to get into that in a movie. Like, that's just a big fun movie. I don't know if we have time to dive into that. But in a show,
yeah. And for those that don't know, Matt is referring to the Demon in a Bottle storyline for Iron Man. That's a very big storyline, so go check that out if you don't. But speaking,
or watch the 5 minutes of Iron Man 2.
A lot, over and over. But the other thing that you just brought a good point, talking about Winter Soldier and doing that stuff, and talking about fleshing them out. I thought this episode was heavy on Sam, which is good because, one, Anthony Mackie deserves a little screen time, and the character itself deserves a little more fleshing out than just I'm patriotic and I love Cap and I'm doing it. I liked that we saw a lot of his personal life.
Oh yeah, all the like Louisiana stuff. Well, and I'll tell you too, like he's obviously like a really like captivating guy on screen or whatever, because like when they first like cut to that and they're on the boat and they're doing the thing, you know, I had a moment of like going to pick up my phone, you know, you're like, wow, we're doing this now, and then, you know, a couple minutes and you're going like, okay, no, this is cool.
It felt like it was going to be very cliche arguing between brother and sister, but but especially the whole scene with the bank the bank was so good. That was so good. The guy was such a big fan, and he just wasn't trying to be an asshole. He just literally could not give him any money. They just weren't going to let him.
And he is kind of an asshole.
Yeah, but he loved him all at the same time.
With your eyes out.
Yeah.
But no, right. And boy, I mean, we're both self-employed, and we've tried to get loans for things. And it's such a, and didn't have your business long enough or whatever. So that was neat to see, like, oh, cool, superheroes have the same.
Hey, they're same as me. Superheroes are the same as me. All right, well, I think we can both, I'm not going to speak for you, but I think we can both agree that we enjoyed it. We see the promise in the series. We're excited about the series, and it's not an insult to say, easy interwebs, this first episode was just a setup episode, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the immediate gratification world we live in, it's okay to have some build up.
Right. Yeah. Give it a minute. I saw people saying, like, oh, I'm disappointed we didn't get Sam and Bucky together. It's like, well, I don't think you're going to have to wait that long. It's the name of the show.
I would almost bet episode 2 is going to pull that off.
Hey, you know what? If they don't do it in episode 2, then I'll start kind of going, seems like they're taking
now you're dragging it out. So,
yeah.
But let's go ahead and jump. I mean, we've been at this for about 45 minutes. If you subtract about 6 minutes of you looking at the dog barking, then we're about 39 minutes. Right. But let's do what like I said, our little you and me version of Throw It to Missy, and let's talk about something. Now, I will warn you.
By the way, where is Missy right now? She's on a business trip or something.
She is not watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, so she's
unbelievable.
I know,
unbelievable.
And she really, I swear to God, you would not know by the lack of showing up, but she really does like you a lot.
Breaks my heart every time.
But so I've got to warn you though. We can talk a little bit about the Snyder Cut, but we have a very big episode scheduled about it, taking a deep dive into it with a person that has a podcast with the guy that wrote a book that essentially shed light on the Snyder Cut coming up soon. So I'm excited about that, but I do want to at least get your thoughts. I'm going to hold off a lot of my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
But that's what we're doing right now?
That's what we're doing right now. That's why I teed it up. I put the ball right on the tee. Ready?
I'll tell you, they made a very bad movie into a bad movie
by adding an hour.
by adding an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's very good.
It was a better third act this time around.
Okay. I think there are very few movies that need to be 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I think if your story is that long, it's just not the medium for it. Like, if you had to add all that stuff to explain it, maybe the story was already too bloated in the first place.
Right.
Maybe there should have been 2 parts. Maybe there should have been more solo movies. And I understand that they didn't get that. I mean,
they didn't want
DC,
to do it to be like
DC
Marvel.
Wasn't going to let that happen. Or
Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers.
But I think a lot of the added stuff does make it flows better. It makes more sense. But it's just
some of the bad humor is removed because the Joss Whedon humor that didn't work.
It's gross.
Yeah, it was. And Joss Whedon hasn't aged well.
Well, that's actually I think cultural zeitgeist way. I think this has all come together in sort of a perfect storm of like a story needs like a good guy and a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And like Joss Whedon has become the bad guy.
Yeah, he certainly has. Yeah.
And Zack Snyder, obviously with his daughter, is an awful, tragic thing that he went through. And then, it seems like that wasn't even necessarily the reason it's completely that he left, right? Warner Brothers wanted him out anyway. So Zack Snyder in that sense becomes a good guy. And I feel like that's a lot of what's happening with this, which is fine. I'm not saying that that's like, oh, what a bunch of idiots. But I think like the sort of like compelling story around it is adding a lot, and it being better. I do think it's a better movie now.
It goes like from a D- to maybe a C-. It's maybe what it does.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying. And again, I just think it's just too long for what it is. It's like not.
It took me about 7 hours to watch it because
I watched it
4 hours. You have to pause. You have to do stuff.
I watched it in 4 parts, I think.
Yeah. And that was what was weird too. It was a 4-hour movie. It would seem to make sense to do it in 4 parts or 3 parts, but it was like 8 parts. Like
yeah.
Very weird.
So in a sort of like outside of the movie way, I'm very glad it happened. I think it's a really interesting thing to exist.
It's certainly the most, as far as I can remember, one of the most bizarre things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know we both grew up through a massive amount of director cuts of Blade Runner and theatrical cuts, and certainly Terry Gilliam's done a lot of that with like Brazil and some other movies.
The Donner cut,
Superman. With Superman for the second one, Superman 2, which is I think very good. But the way this one happened was so weird, very odd.
I still wonder too how much of what we are hearing is really even true. I think it probably is. I'm being a little conspiratorial here.
But you're being very much a 2021 person. That's what I mean. We just expect the other shoe to drop on it.
But it makes me wonder, like, did he really not shoot anything extra? I mean, I know they shot a little bit, but like, essentially, right, this is just what Zack Snyder had already completed.
Just without a lot of touch-up, which is why you saw the black bars from time to time pop up on it. And
that just seems so strange to me that they had that much of a finished movie and then let some. And that's another thing too. I know Joss Whedon. Bad dude. It seems like.
Doesn't it seem?
All those other reasons?
Doesn't it seem like bad business to allow someone on a 2-hour movie to film over 4 hours of stuff? And then, I mean, I get that they do that in movies, but like a whole different movie.
It's not even just dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
It's effect shots. It's big things that apparently were filmed, and I guess maybe not completed visually, visual effects wise, but still they shot them. But I do feel like, okay, this is hard. I don't want to defend Joss Whedon.
It's hard guy to defend right now.
But I will say, being handed a 4-hour movie and being told to cut it down to 2 hours would be very difficult. I don't necessarily blame Joss Whedon for it being so terrible. I mean, I think he came in sort of in a company man type of role, but what else is he going to do? I think the jokes were terrible.
Yeah.
And obviously the sort of like duct tape scenes, because he had to cut out a ton of story
that made no sense.
Put a little Band-Aid in there. Like having Batman, the part where they fight Superman at the memorial, how Lois Lane gets there is different, and in the Snyder cut makes a lot more sense that she's there. Well, Joss Whedon cut out all of that, understandably, sort of. But then the Band-Aid was Batman going, bring in the big guns, Alfred. Yeah. Alfred just delivering Lois, which is like very silly. But I mean, I sort of get when it's like, hey man, got to be 2 hours. You're like, I don't know, maybe Batman broader, I guess that I don't have to show that.
The way Joss Whedon filmed it, she was very much an ex machina, and you also wonder why they didn't just lead with her. But in the way it was filmed, and even though one of the other parts of the Zack Snyder cut that I found a little iffy was the inclusion of Martian Manhunter, not because I didn't like it, but because
I didn't like it.
Like what? I mean, I just didn't understand. Again, it seemed easy to cut,
But knowing it was in there made it make a little more sense in terms of Lois and stuff. But
Yeah.
again, all in, just a little weird. Just a little weird.
Yeah. It's a very interesting like curiosity to me. So strange to happen on a Justice League movie
on such a big project. You would get that on but hey, what are we going to do?
And with apparently, I mean, I guess, right? This can go nowhere. There's no sequel.
Yeah.
And DC, right? They're in a weird place anyway because I think Cavill's gone, right?
Well, the fans don't want him to go because they think he deserves a legitimate shot. But who knows? Yeah,
who knows? Yeah,
who knows?
Right.
And who knows if DC gets sold? Who knows what's going to happen in the world?
Yeah. It seems, and this was very successful, is from what I can gather.
All their movies, bad movies, they've all made money.
That's true. Yeah, but I mean, I wonder if they'll try to go like, oh, now this is canon.
Well, and I think Ben Affleck's done no matter what. And we're getting a new Batman. And it might be awesome. But again, this new Batman is going to lead to nothing in terms of a big universe.
Yeah, yeah. Which, whatever, maybe that's better. It is weird that I assume, right, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are going to continue.
Yeah. Did you like the last Wonder Woman?
I didn't watch it.
You don't have to. It's very...
I dipped out on DC. I watched Justice League, but after Batman vs Superman, I was pretty much done.
Yeah.
And I've heard, I didn't see Shazam, Aquaman, or Wonder Woman, and I've heard those are all good in different degrees. They're
okay. I like Shazam. I thought it was a fun movie.
Yeah.
They're all okay. But I tell you what, we are going to take a big deep dive into the... the Snyder Cut. But I do want to say... something I watched today that I've been it's a movie I've kind of been waiting for a long time. Speaking of Zack Snyder, he's got a movie going to Netflix, and I think that's because of what COVID has happened, called Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
And the trailer is on Netflix now, and it looks fun. Noticeably absent from the trailer is Chris D'Elia, who is in the movie, but now not in the movie.
Not in the movie.
So I wonder, speaking of Snyder cuts and cutting things out, I just want to know, I would love one day to see, I think we're going to see it again. I think we're going to see the movie. It's going to get a response, and Zack Snyder's going to go, well, I know people don't like him, but the movie's way better when I had the original story in it.
Release the D'Elia cut?
The D'Elia cut. I can't wait. And he's touring again and making an apology, so maybe it will happen.
I mean, from what I understand, his stuff maybe wasn't quite as bad as it started out. I don't really know. I haven't really looked into it a whole lot. So.
And I'm not going to. I'll just wait and see how it plays out. But
Right. Whatever. I think what a weird place we're in. I think I guess what I'll say is I think it's very funny that the people getting canceled, right? It all falls under one term.
Yeah, it's weird that we have this term now. It's so odd.
Well, and it applies to too much stuff, in my opinion, because Kevin Spacey got canceled.
And deserved it from all accounts.
He's awful.
Yeah.
And then someone will have said an acceptable thing culturally
10, 15 years ago.
10 years ago. And they get canceled for that. But they don't. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, what happens then is like, whoa, you said this? And they usually go like, yeah, I'm sorry. And then it's like James Gunn, right? Like,
yeah.
Which that has a whole different angle to it too. He's fine. He's he's doing his thing. It happened. It's done. But he got canceled. But then also Kevin Spacey got canceled. But that's not the same thing. Didn't happen to those guys.
It's very much like, I'm sure somebody will take offense to the way I'm going to break this down, but it's very much akin to a person going to serve 15 years in jail for selling weed and a person going to jail for
18 years for murdering someone. Those aren't the same thing, and they don't deserve near equal sentences, you know.
And they don't, and maybe that's it too. It's like someone getting a parking ticket versus someone going to prison for murder.
Yeah.
But we call it the same exact
It's a crime
thing. And then that makes it where people can go like, oh, they're going to cancel him. But he's maybe still did something that you should be aware of, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't know. It just,
cancel culture is a little out of control. Sometimes it's justified, and sometimes it's so odd how we went from a society in a country to where they were like, hey, everybody deserves a second chance, to now no one deserves a second chance. And sometimes we only need a rumor of something to even take away their first chance.
But then, like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to me with terms. You know, the first one that really ever bothered me about something, I might have talked about this on here. Gosh, I hope not. I'm such a broken record on things. When like selfie became a word, did I talk about this?
I don't think you did. Not on my show. No.
So, like, nobody cared about anyone taking a picture of themselves, right?
Yeah.
Or you're at Six Flags or a park or something. Hey, would you mind taking our picture? And that's a fun. You give it to a person, they take it. It's fun. It's great. But then as soon as it like got a word attached
it became
to it, now it's terrible. It's such
now look, this
like,
conceited person. Look at these.
Right. Yeah. And I think I don't know. Sometimes when things like get named, it gets all twisted up.
That's a very Whovian thought. If you've ever watched Doctor Who, there's a power in naming things. You don't want it. As soon as you name something, you know.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about like canceling things. It's like you're applying the same term to so many different things. It makes people get mad both ways, right? Like people will say, "Oh, they'll cancel someone for anything," but it's like, well, it's all different. This is not fun.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier is a good character, and it's cool when he kicks stuff.
How about this? Speaking of bad movies, I told you to put a pin in this earlier.
Yes. Oh, hey, man, remember to bring up that bad movie.
I do remember. Thank you for reminding me. I watched it today as I got home from work a little early, and I put it on as I was typing up some reports. And it turns out it was a very easy movie to type up, do some work against. The inaccurately titled Jiu-Jitsu with Nicolas Cage is out on Netflix.
I haven't seen it, but...
Is it worth watching? Maybe not. Should you watch it? Probably. It's hard to explain how bad the movie is, but how much I enjoy Nicolas Cage's role in it. There's an emotional connection with his character in it that doesn't really make sense. There's
love it.
The fact that it's called jiu-jitsu and this alien trained us so he could come back and fight. It's very Predator-like in the fact that he comes to fight us.
I like that.
With swords and punches and kicks, and they call it jiu-jitsu so heavily, which is absolutely not what jiu-jitsu is in application.
Very interesting, because I know very little about any martial art. Right, that would be the top.
Yeah.
And I if someone said what's jiu-jitsu, I would say I think it's like a lot of holds and throws.
Absolutely.
Right?
And those don't take place 1 second of this movie.
Cool.
There's a very military aspect to this movie that doesn't make sense. There's a monk aspect to this movie that doesn't make sense. And then there's an alien. And and by the end of it, there is a circular as opposed to, well, I guess it is circular in this too, but a very circular Stargate type gate in it as well that they don't really explain, that just happens. It's an awful movie that I'm better for watching, if that makes sense.
Cool, yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, I think. What I wanted to bring up to you though, because you and your missus and mine and mine,
my missy, yeah,
your missy and mine, we are all fans of horror movies, and Nicolas Cage has sunk his way into being very good in a lot of these independent horror movies, or thrillers and suspense. And I'm happy with him in that role. I don't know that I need him in B-movie action movies as much as I do those.
Yeah, I don't think so. I hope. I think he's a good actor, and I think he needs a good director, and I think he needs a director that will like guide his craziness.
Yeah,
and I think in these B like action movies and these B movies he's been in, he's working with like newer directors, or just not as maybe talented or whatever, that are just excited to have Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And when he's like, hey, should I do it like this? And they're like, okay, yeah.
Oh, they're helping him lean into his Shatnerism. William Shatner, the last 30 years, has made a career out of being William Shatner and not an actor. And Cage seems to be doing that now. It's very, I gotta tell you, I want you to watch it and tell me what you think of it.
I want to see it. I want to see that one with him too. The like Five Nights at Freddy's. He's fighting the robot mascot.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I need to watch that.
Either.
Yeah,
that's on our list for sure.
I've seen Mandy. I saw the one where the parents decide to kill their kids. I can't think of the name of that, but he's awesome in that.
Maybe Parents or something.
It could
like
be.
That.
It's something like that. Yeah. That's a very fun one. But it's either way. I'm all in on Nicolas Cage. That's why I watched it. I knew what I was getting into. I did not enjoy it, but I liked it at the same time, if that makes sense.
I get it. Man, we watched Fantasy Island.
We watched that too.
Dude, that's a bad movie.
No, it's not good. The military ending to it just...
Wait, what happened?
Well, with the drug cartel thing, it's just what?
The whole... Man... that was a baffling film, and we wanted. So what we were looking for that night was a bad Blumhouse like Truth or Dare.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Of them.
I enjoyed that one.
Yes, and that's what we wanted. That's what we were looking for. Like that kind of cheesy.
And the
horror.
first 15, 20 minutes of Fantasy Island had promise.
Yeah. Well, and then it it becomes like a weird action movie
it
almost.
Completely shits the bed is what it does.
So awful. And then tries to have these twists that are like, they think they're like the Sixth Sense, but they're just like, well, that doesn't, like, that's a movie where you can't turn your brain off because it's too busy not making any sense.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Like someone would tell you, come on, man, just turn your brain off and enjoy it. And it's like, I can't, because everything they're doing is making me go, wait a second, then why was she doing this thing? That doesn't make, So I highly recommend Fantasy Island if you like bad movies.
Well, I don't remember if we talked about it, but I know I mentioned it on the air. I might have did it when it was a solo episode, just me, but
I don't know why you would ever do a solo
episode. I know, but
here.
I believe it was Vince Vaughn, Freaky,
Oh yeah, no, we haven't.
That movie's perfect. That movie's everything I wanted out of that movie.
I want to see that. I've heard it's sort of almost a return to form for Vince.
Yeah, because he like again with like Shatner and Nick Cage, he just Vince Vaughn's it up through the whole thing, which is cool. What you want. And yeah, so anyway, that's all I really had. If you have anything extra, I would certainly talk about it. I mean, it's. As we record this, it's 10:30. It's definitely my bedtime. And we've managed to put in an hour talking about not just Zoom meetings, not just Shane Presley, but actually TV and good stuff.
Well, I won't get another chance. So I just want to say my Ralph Boner piece.
Okay. I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Here's my problem. Okay. Because I keep seeing people say, "Oh, you're just mad that your theory didn't turn out."
Well, I also wanted to tell you my theory of who Flag Smasher is Evan Peters. So that's my theory.
Oh, that's good. that should be the Fox Flash or Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, sorry. And then they don't ever. They're just like, no, that one's him. That one is him.
Yeah. Mutants are here.
Yeah. So my problem with it is that it makes no sense in universe. I think I don't mind little winks and nods and like Easter eggs.
And a certain amount of the studio trolling us, which is okay to me sometimes too.
But it has to make sense in the world, right? Like, you can't just have like, I don't know, Sonic the Hedgehog can't just run in and be like, it's me, Sonic, and then run away, and then everyone be like, well, I like Sonic, so that was cool. And
by the way, I did enjoy the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
well, and I liked his cameo in Endgame. Is it the final battle of Endgame, and it makes sense there.
Yeah.
But okay, I can buy that because he was the same guy from a parallel universe, multiverse, whatever, that to Wanda, he felt familiar. Even though he looked different, something about him felt right. She knew it was a little weird, but okay, because he's the same dude, right? But that they just brought some random guy over and said, no, dude, it's him. And look, people will say, well, he could run real fast. This is a world of all kinds of superpowered people. A lot of people can do a lot of things. For Wanda to believe that some random dude was her dead brother, and then he acts just like the Fox Quicksilver. He is that character.
Yeah, he's not the Quicksilver from this universe. He's the Quicksilver from the Fox universe. It doesn't make sense.
And it's all in a necklace, apparently.
I guess, and it's just one of those things that's like, it's not like a fun... Because when people were like, oh, we're speculating if it's is it Fox Quicksilver? I was just like, what are you talking... Of course, it is him. Like, it's him. What are you talking about? And I was wrong. But...
yeah.
I heard, and I guess I saw a screenshot of it, but I guess it could be fake. But I heard that if you had subtitles on, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would subtitles have? Maybe that's fake. They said that it was like it said like Fox Quicksilver.
Oh, that would be fun if they did do that.
Doesn't really make sense now that I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. I just feel like if it made, here's the thing. They would never have written it that way if Fox Quicksilver didn't exist. They never would have been like, we're going to get some different actor. It would make no sense. And they only did that because we knew about Fox Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And then people were trying to say, like, no, the whole show is like a meta TV show thing.
It was
outkicking
its coverage and it being meta. I mean,
that's not even true. The whole show is not meta like that. It's not like tricks.
Yeah. And it was so not fulfilling that the fact that it was a Boners to Bone tribute from Growing Pains didn't even play. Right. Didn't even play.
Oh, I didn't. I mean, I still kind of feel like that's not. I mean, I guess that is a thing in it because, right, the director, right, was on.
Yeah, he was Boners to Bone in that.
Yeah. Right. So, right.
He was, what's his name? The uber Christian guy, Kirk Cameron's best friend.
Best friend, yeah. But,
who most everyone thought was dead, but turns out he's alive directing WandaVision.
He died in the show, right?
He did. A very sad episode. He goes off to the military.
So, I mean, look, who knows? I've heard people say, like, no, that's Wu's witness protection guy, and it's going to turn out that it's Quicksilver,
which was a MacGuffin that didn't have anything to do with anything. The witness protection person.
I did read an article that like COVID messed up a lot of their stuff for the ending, and they had to change things. Fairly big things, like maybe that like Kat Dennings was supposed to be in it more. So who knows? Maybe
she did. That makes sense too because she did kind of fizzle and just disappear.
Right.
And it was a crossing guard kind of kept her from being in the whole final episode until the very end.
She just shows up and hits the car. I don't know. It just it's I didn't I thought both of the post-credit scenes were just nothing.
Yeah,
like, I knew Monica was gonna do space stuff, and I knew Wanda was going to do witch stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the point of?
There was no shock. Nothing of that shocked or did anything for us. It wasn't like Samuel Jackson walking into a room, you know.
Yeah, and I know people are saying like, "Oh, it's a TV show. It's not their movies. They're saving it for their movies." But I feel like but it is like a Disney Plus show, and
It's pretty big.
Mandalorian
Yeah.
had lots of cool stuff at the end of it, so I don't think it was like
Yeah,
foolish to
Mandalorian
expect.
had the most Conan type asserting themselves as the king scene you could ever have, which was my favorite thing about it. Was
Well, and like I think like people keep saying like, oh, they're not gonna bring mutants in a TV show, but like you don't have to bring mutants in to like.
you can definitely lay the groundwork.
Yeah, and it's not even, I mean, in a sense, right? It's not even really laying the groundwork. It's just saying like, hey, they're gonna be here. You're gonna do it all later.
Yeah.
I mean,
now you have to look forward to this. Think about this for the next few years. That's going to be
right?
it.
Like they didn't lay the groundwork for Thor by showing his hammer in Iron Man 2.
Was it the
Captain?
it was a post-credit scene, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was either, but yeah, it was
But right, like that's totally inconsequential to like Thor at all. It's just kind of a neat, like, oh, cool, they're gonna do that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm on your
Okay,
side.
Good.
So-
good. That's all I need.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you came on last minute, and I appreciate that you were going to come on anyway. And everybody should know at this point, if they don't, other than your role as pop culture correspondent, man on the street for the PC Bombcast, you have your own very successful podcast called the Matt F. Basler Podcast.
It's very good. It's fun and funny. It's funny and cool. Probably the best podcast that isn't dealing specifically with pop culture.
I think so too. I think it's definitely the one that the best one that ever hits on music as much as you do. Certainly, no one out there compares to it.
Oh no. Well, I would say any interview style
Yes,
podcast.
it's the best.
Nobody comes close.
Nope.
Not even the award-winning Rock Paper Podcast.
I forgot about
Hey,
that one. I wasn't even thinking of that one.
It's called Matt F. Basler's Podcast. I don't think I said that.
That is definitely I think
That's what it's called.
And then you know, among other things, you're a successful animator. I like to say musician,
Yeah, something.
screen printer,
yeah.
Renaissance man is what you are.
I'm trying to be jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Master of all of them.
Yeah. I mean, why can't you be? So, So I guess that's all we have. So please tell everyone bye, and I'll tell them to follow you. Probably again in the bumper to begin the stuff.
That's cool. Okay, well, bye everybody. But before I go, here's my problem with WandaVision. Okay, and let me just with the vision part. Let me get into the vision part. I didn't even start on that. Ship of Theseus? Are you kidding me? How does that? Bye everybody.
Later.